Thank you, Lawrence. Uh, Happy to be here and introduce my friend and our client, Millie Ramos. Millie and I go way back. I met her back in 2010, believe it or not, on a cold call. I had reached out to her firm and asked her if we could look into her 401k plan. Throughout time, we've developed strong business relationships as well as personal ones as well. We actually have family roots in a small town in central Puerto Rico, Orocovis. So there was an instant connection right there. We continue to keep in touch, and Millie has since connected me to a wonderful organization, the Committee for Hispanic Children and Families, of CHCF, of which she is a board member. We ended up competing for CHCF's 403B plan and won. She's continued to be a great networking partner and has introduced us to various architectural, engineering, and construction companies across New York. And to top everything, Millie introduced me to my partner, best friend, and spouse, Yvonne. As happy as I was, we still didn't bring over Shen Milsom 401k plan, but about 4 years ago, we earned our way back to the finals and beat some very competitive peers to become their retirement plan provider. Millie was very instrumental bringing us on board. And we thank you, Millie, and Shen Milsom and Wilke for placing your faith in us. But more importantly, you have been an incredible friend and inspiration.
Awesome. Should I pick it up from here?
Sure. Unfortunately, I have to head out to a conference, so I will catch this on the recording.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. And I did not know about the introduction to your partner, best friend, and wife. That's so wonderful. Thank you. Good luck at the conference. I hope you.
Steve, thank you so much. Those were lovely words, and I'll see you later. Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, Mildred Ramos, I'm going to call you Millie. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
Okay. So when we were chatting, when we were doing our prep call, you were saying that you loved the song that was playing. So I'm going to allow you to say the name of it so I don't butcher the pronunciation. And then I will tell a little bit about it. It's
a fantastic song by Gente de Sones. And it's just, besides that, it's so uplifting. It's a celebration of all of us, of the Latino community throughout. And it's just, one of the lines they mention is La Fiesta de los Latinos. And it just touches on everything that's good about the Hispanic cultures, regardless of where we are, and it's just an uplifting, fantastic song. So I commend you. That was a great choice.
Thank you. So it's by Mark Anthony, formerly of Jennifer Lopez fame, but and as I've heard, it's a high energy anthem that celebrates Latin American pride and unity. The lyrics name drop countries like, well, Puerto Rico, which is an island and not a country, it's part of the United States. Let me be very clear about that. But Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Colombia, and Venezuela, and more, highlighting the shared cultural heritage and joyful spirit of the Hispanic world. With its infectious rhythm and festive tone, the song embodies the essence of La Dosidia. I said that all wrong. The communal celebration, and serves as the vibrant tribute to the diversity and richness of the Hispanic culture. So I'm glad you think we picked a good one. We spent a lot of time trying to pick the right songs for everybody. So, so as we begin, I'm going to just read to everyone a bit about who you are. So you'll have to sit back and listen to me speak platitudes about you. Hope that's okay. As with all of the sessions that we've done this year, we really do try our best to highlight the partnership with our clients as a way of bringing our employees face to face with, I always say, the people who fund us, right, but the people who we work for you. And I think so. Thank you for agreeing to do that. We themed this one, Community Roots corporate reach, one leader's culture-driven journey. And so let me tell everyone why I say that. So Mildred Ramos holds the position of Chief Executive Officer and is an integral member of the executive team, as Steve mentioned, at Shen Milsom Wilke. In this capacity, she plays a pivotal role in the executive leadership team, where she's tasked with developing and implementing a comprehensive human resources strategy that aligns with the company's overarching goals. She oversees all facets of human resources, including talent acquisition, employee engagement, retention, leadership development, performance management, compliance, and the cultivation of organizational culture. Your extensive experience in both tactical and strategic solution delivery positions you as a strong advocate for employees while aligning human resources initiatives with the company's business objectives, which peer-to-peer isn't that really what it's about. Personally, you're noted as someone who is a passionate champion for cultural diversity and inclusiveness in the workplace, recognizing the positive effects that it has on the organization and the broader community. Your dedication is illustrated by your active involvement as an executive member of the board of directors of the Community of Hispanic Children and Families, or CHCF, and the Spanish-speaking Elderly Council, in addition to being a founding member of La Sierra. Moreover, as an engaged member of the Society for Human Resource Management, you have provided mentorship through the National Association of Female Executives, fostering thoughtful engagement within the professional community. Your significant contributions have not gone unnoticed, as you have received several awards, including the NAPW Professional Women of the Year Award in Leadership and Human Capital Management. It is wonderful to speak to someone who speaks my language. So I am looking forward to us peer-to-peer having this conversation amongst just a few hundred of our friends. So thank you again.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you.
Thank you. So we always like to start by getting to know a little bit about who our speakers are beyond what I just read. And one of the things that I was told when we were doing the prep was that you are one of 14 siblings, and you'll have to tell me what number you are. You started working at age 16. So I'm wondering how, and it doesn't say, I know you and I talked to your families from Puerto Rico. I don't know when they came here, but I'm a first generation American. My parents immigrated here. Your parents are Puerto Rico, so they didn't immigrate here. They rather just moved here, but still transition. But so I'm wondering if you could share how some of your early experiences drive your perspective on opportunity and on work, and especially as someone who is an underrepresented group. So first of all, what number are you out of 14?
I know I'm one of 14, and it's still shocking for me to hear that. And I lived it. It's my life. I'm number 11. I'm 11 of 14. And I'm of that there are 9 women and 5 men. So I'm daughter number 7 and child number 11 out of 14.
God bless your mom.
Oh my goodness, yes, every day. And my parents were tremendous. We were blessed with fantastic parents with very strong values and very genuine, warming family that I had. But being one of 14, right, you quickly learn how important community is, how important respect is, how important collaboration is, and how to be, someone who participates and pulls their weight in whatever that means, whether it's, whether it is existing in the family home or being involved outside in school or in the neighborhood. It's always extremely important. Understanding the value of sharing and understanding the value of respect and taking care of one another. My parents did a fantastic job with that, and I'm blessed to have such a strong and lovely family.
Awesome. And are most of your siblings still in the area, or have they branched out to different places? As
you mentioned, my family is originally from Puerto Rico. They came back early in the late 1950s. They migrated to what we call the mainland, with the promise of more work and stability, but it was a cultural shock, needless to say. So although we are American citizens, we did face similar challenges to what many immigrants are facing now. That being said, my family is mostly now in the United States, here in the mainland, although I still have strong and extensive family out in Orocovis in Puerto Rico. And it turns out that Steve and I, as we got to know each other, we realized that we have family in the same town. So it's not too unreasonable to think that. I always say, we're cousins. We are cousins somewhere in there. But most of my siblings are here in the States.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your professional career.
Sure.
So you, as I mentioned, actually, I don't think I mentioned in your intro, so I will say it now. You were the first female partner at your firm.
Yes.
And actually, Steve didn't say it, but I'll ask you just to talk a little bit about what your firm does, just so we can prime everyone. But so you were the first female partner at your firm, and now you're the CHRO. So I'm wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about what are some of the challenges that you have may have faced, or some of your leadership lessons. I love leadership lessons when our people
Yes.
about that you've learned along the way, and what advice do you give to any and all employees? But first, can you just start by telling us a little bit about what your firm does, and how you got to being the first CHRO, and what are some of the advice and lessons learned along the way?
Yeah. So my company, Shen Milsom Wilke, we're technology consultants. So we work in the architect, engineering, construction industry. And what we do is we work alongside of architects for our end users to help make their structures smarter via technology. With the ever-changing world that we live in, and technology does not stand still. And what my company does is go in and we work alongside the client to ensure that whatever structure is being created, whether it's a hospital, whether it's a teaching university, whether it's a residential, a sports arena, we go in there, we assess the situation, and we provide technology solutions to make sure that the structure functions smartly, and not only in present day, but for future, to ensure that the client gets the best experience with their new space.
So tell me a little bit about your rise to partnership and some of I feel like in HR, we're so lucky. We get to have a front row seat to leadership, transformations, changes. So tell me a little bit about your rise to leadership and some of your kind of key takeaways and lessons that some of our employees might want to hear about.
No, that's great. Yeah, being in human resources, you do get to touch everything at all aspects, but my experience started when I was quite early. I actually started in finance, where my degree is in finance. And when I worked at a law firm, the first place they played, and this was when I was a child, I was an interoffice, what they call an interoffice page. So it was a large law firm, so I would just deliver packages inside the building. What I would do is I would say hello and be involved with everyone, without even knowing that I shouldn't have done that. It was just a curiosity and getting to know, what do you do and how does this work? And I read everything. So as through that, I understood through my channels that, I want to be in the finance side of things. And I continued my studies, and I worked I worked my way up through there in their accounting department and finance department at a law firm. When it was time to make a change, I joined Shen Milsom Wilke as an accounting manager. They were in a little bit of a messy situation because my predecessor, they had gotten new platforms and new programs, and she was, I think, overwhelmed with a new program software system, and so let everything go astray. So when I was brought in, one thing I will say, Tara, is that they did not even want to interview me. Because I didn't have the background in an engineering firm. But as I sat there anyway, they politely interviewed me. I read everything that was on that desk, and they asked me, why should we hire you? And I said, because I see, and I pointed out a million things that I saw just by being observant. Needless to say, I had a job offer before I even got home. And with that, the reason I say this, I premise that is because be involved. Don't just be there. Don't just do your job. Listen, get involved, understand what's going on, observe, learn from others. And with that, in addition to learning your responsibilities, I knew nothing about the engineering industry whatsoever. So I had a lot to learn, but I knew early on from my experience at the law firm how corporations generally operated. And so I took that knowledge, I took my understanding of people from being in a large family, right? You understand different dynamics, you understand different personalities. You also understand that you can't let anything fall off the table. And so my focus on that led me to not solely address the financial side of the organization, which I got them straightened out pretty quickly, thankfully. The CEO of the firm at the time saw that and said to me, "What else can you do?" And I said, "What else you got?"
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, we collaborated together to not only take care of the day-to-day operations, whether they were finance or whether they were just corporate operations, but how do we expand? How do we expand? Let's understand what our next goals and directions would be. And so I was very fortunate to have such a boss that didn't just see me as, a girl or someone not in the industry, but actually appreciated and listened to what I had to say as well.
Yeah. Well, a few things I take away from that. So obviously you need to be observant. One of the things that I say often is you have to think like an owner. And so
Yes.
that's right. So I take that away from that. So it's not just doing your job, but thinking about the full scope of what happens at an organization, caring about all the things like an owner cares about all the things, right?
Absolutely.
The other thing is, as I say to my kids, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So when your boss said to you, what else can you do? You had an answer. You were ready
Yes.
with an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't know what that was. And he threw some challenges at me. So then I would go, okay, sit back. Let's see how we're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out.
So how did you get from the finance world into human resources?
Well, it's funny because one of my assignments early on when I worked at the law firm, I was assigned to the human resource department. And again, just being involved, sitting in on conversations, listening into what was going around the corporate world, volunteering to participate if they were doing T&Es or any kind of presentations or on the onboarding. So, and just reading through the documentations that were in the corporate handbook, just being involved and not just taking a passive approach to things. So that always stayed with me. Again, being in a large family, you have to understand the human dynamics. So it sort of came very naturally to me. And then again, through my growth at Shen Milsom Wilke, I just became the default person at first to address those things. When you do finance, you do payroll, you sort of start getting involved with the health benefits and human resources. And then, now it's time to get myself back into school to really understand all the nuances. So I went to, I attended, continued professional education at NYU and got certified there.
Awesome. So I am so interested in the work that you do, technology. I always say every company is only as good as its technology, and we're having so many large growth moments around AI. So I'm wondering if you could talk to me a little bit about it. It's AI, automation are definitely shaping the way that we work. I'm going to assume they probably are reshaping the way that your firm works. How do you and whether one's comfort with it or not, usage of it, proper usage of it or not, is so dependent upon kind of where you are and how it's being used, responsibly or not. How do you see technology impacting your industry, and what do you think of the opportunities we have for using them for talent development and equity? Do you see this technology as a hindrance or as a way of moving things forward? What kinds of conversations are you having inside of your corporate walls?
Yeah. So yeah, technology, this AI is a beast. And whether we like it or not, we need to know about it. We need to learn it. We need to understand its pros and cons, its nuances. As an organization, as Shen Milsom Wilke, we that's who we do. We consult on technology. So my team had to quickly early on, as you know, as one of the leaders within the organization, early on, we had to sit down and say, hey, this is happening. We best educate ourselves. And we identified as a human resource professional, you need to identify where that talent is. Who are your best people who can embrace this early on and take on this new endeavor, learn about it, teach us, and then let's create programs and platforms to educate our clients, to educate our communities, so we can understand what is going on and how this can have a positive impact on our industry, because it's going to have an impact in the industry, in all industries, or I should say most industries. So understanding how to embrace the technology and also understanding how not to trust the technology, right? Not to take it for granted. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect for a long time. So although there are tools that are going to enhance our professions, all our professions, on the HR side, on the engineering side, and the architectural side, or whatever industry you're in, you also have to understand that you as a human need to look at those responses. You need to look at those recommendations, or whatever is that AI is sending you, to ensure that it is correct. We are still the humans. We're the ones who know. And they are fantastic tools, but you do need to do your due diligence to ensure that their platforms and that information is correct and best suited for your industry purpose or purpose.
Yeah, I think of having lived and worked through multiple iterations of technology, there's a hot new thing that we're always afraid are going to kind of take us away. And you're absolutely right. There still needs to be a human element and a human overlay to whatever any of us are doing. And so you look at technology as a way of augmenting the work that you do instead of taking away from it. Or in some ways, it may take away work that you do that frees you up to do something that is much more
valuable
and more valuable. Right. And so you can't, for one, you can't run from it because it's here. And what you don't want to do is get left behind. But two, you want to, in some ways, think about how you can run towards it in a way that is thoughtful about how it would make a change in your organization or in your own personal life, right? In your day-to-day life.
Correct. And as human resource practitioners, professionals, we need to also have these open communications even within our own organization, to ensure that people are getting that proper training, that there is equitability throughout, so that everyone is receiving that proper training on these new platforms and programs. And then on the human aspect side is to ensure staff within our organizations or other industries that AI is not necessarily there to take away your job, but as you mentioned, maybe is to alleviate some of the responsibilities and giving an opportunity to train up or skill up on other strengths that people may have.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, we've throughout the course of the sessions that we've done this year, but really through most of the years, particularly as we're showcasing our clients, we've showcased clients who are at nonprofits, and we talk a little bit about their mission and their vision and their values, which I think is a lot of what people who work here have come to love as a kind of our link to the nonprofit community. You're obviously a for-profit organization. I'm assuming that you don't do this stuff, you expect a revenue out of the work that you do. But you
try.
Yeah, I'm sure that's helpful. Revenue is helpful, I'm sure. But I love that you have these wonderful linkages to your community. And so let's dive into who you are as a community leader. So from what I've been told by my team, or what you've told us, is you've built some STEM programs and you partnered with organizations like Latino College Access, LUCA, which you may or may not know is a client of ours. And actually, I had the pleasure of interviewing the founder of LUCA last year, and also, as I mentioned, the Committee for Hispanic Children and Families. How do mentorship and community engagement help to bridge the gap for underserved Hispanic youth entering the workforce? Why is it important? Why do you do it?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have to give a shout out to Shirley Acevedo from Luca. She's fantastic, and I admire
spoke to her a year ago today.
She's fantastic, and I admire the work that she has done. She and I met through a networking event. We actually attended the Hispanic Federation Gala a few years back, and we happened to be sitting next to each other, and we opened up a conversation, and she told me, she shared about, the Luca organization. And she said to me, and she said, this is, first generation college. We're preparing them for school. And I said, and I have a few students that I need to place. I need to place them as interns. And I said, in what? She said, STEM. And I said, I can take them. And she sent me her last 4 students that the STEM program was new to them. And I was more than happy to open up our services, in my organization, because we are an engineering firm. So we broadened our opening up our opportunities to expand regions that we had not previously reached out to, right? And that was in the minority communities or underserved communities, right? Engineers by trade are highly educated, and those opportunities are not always there for marginalized people. So being part of SM&W and being part of their executive committee, I have the influence to be able to connect with other people like Shirley, understand about what their services, their communities, what they're bringing to the table, and then bring that over to my firm. That collaboration strengthens, I can't say that word, brings strength to us all in so many ways. It enriches all our lives. So that's how I got involved with Luca and still involved. And some of the interns that I took on so many years ago are still, striving employees at SM&W. And they're now being part of our mentorship program because they too want to give back. My work with CHCF, which was more than happy to introduce Mutual of America to CHCF, and they gained they're now you guys are now the plan holders, so the plan administrators for that organization.
Thank you.
Of course. The important of that is again being one of 14 children. It was so important. My family we were recipients of the kindness of other people. We were. When you're one of 14 people, you're new to this to New York, you're new to the United States, you're very limited. And if it wasn't for the kindness of the church, if it wasn't for the kindness of certain communities that helped us as an organization, helped us as a family stand on our feet. Sometimes it was just to bring a box of groceries over. I remember that as a child. And I remember that kindness, that awareness was important to me. And that stayed with me all my life, all my life. So the moment I had that opportunity to give back or to be involved, I'm more than there. I am more than there.
Yeah. I'm going to just pause for those people who are on the line. If anyone has any questions for Millie about her career, about her firm, feel free to pop them into the Q&A. So we'll see if anyone has any questions. It is a we're intended to be philanthropic. That's kind of, to your point, you kind of remember where you got help from, and you want it, and you want to give it back. How did you, the two organizations that you spoke about, obviously speak to your soul, speak to your background, but I'm sure you're pulled in a bunch of different directions and have thoughts around how to figure out how to divvy up your time. What advice would you give to our employees around how do you think about the types of places that you want to give your give back to? What were some of I'm sure a ton of organizations that you could have gone to. What advice do you give around thinking about how to spend your time and where you want to give back?
That's a great question. I think what's important is to see what matters to you. You're going, for the most part, if you're doing this, you're volunteering your time. You're volunteering your services. My involvement with this organization is not solely to, help pick up, clean the beaches or clean the waters from plastic bottles. All that is extremely important, of course. But it is, for me, it was understanding families, understanding the struggles that families go through, understanding the challenges that some parents may face. So you have to do something that really touches your heart, whatever that is. It could be rescuing animals, which I think that touches most of all of our hearts. It could be rescuing animals. It could be, being involved, volunteering your time at a hospital, being involved with the elderly, which I did as well. You are volunteering your time. You have to see where your strengths are and understand that whatever you're doing, you're going to dedicate your time. So if you enjoy it, if it means a great deal to you, you're more than likely to be very much engaged in it.
Yeah. So with your involvement in the organization's CHCF, and I know there's some concerns about immigration policies, right? What's your perspective on current legislation that are impacting the Hispanic families and their access to education and employment stability? You talked about needing, your family needing a helping hand. What are your peers at these organizations saying around current policies and so on?
This has got to be one of the most challenging times in recent history for any of the immigrants, regardless of their background. But there seems to be a special focus on the Hispanic communities. It is hurting. It is hurting. Fundings are being cut back that are directly affecting families. People are afraid to even seek medical attention because they're afraid to show up and be taken away. Even people that are here legally are walking around in fear. That's no way to live. This administration has had such a negative impact on so much of the progress that we have done, especially in recent past with the more previous administrations that have championed equity, that have championed inclusiveness, and have welcomed immigration, understood the value of what immigrants, that immigrants bring to all worlds. And this immigration has just been an unfortunate devastation and an unfortunate setback. However, we are a strong, resilient people. We all are strong and resilient people, and we have to stay strong. We have to stay vigilant. We cannot back down. We have to stay involved, and we still have to continue to help one another regardless.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what can companies, we're talking to companies, so individual companies are made up of individuals and then enterprises. So individuals and companies, how do you think we can support the community? What are the things that might help?
Mhm.
I'll ask the Hispanic community because you're Hispanic and probably can speak to that. But I'm guessing your answer is probably broad. But what can people do if they want to help?
I think what's important is you can start with little baby steps. Attend an event, attend a fundraiser. Be there when there is a community Thanksgiving dinner served at a local church. I know I take my team, we are involved with CHCF, and we take my team out and I grab a bunch of people and I say, hey, I need a bunch of volunteers. Let's go out. And we go down to the Bronx or in Brooklyn or wherever the community needs are. And I should also mention that CHCF started as the community for Hispanic Children and Families. However, we serve all families. It doesn't matter. And that being said, when my team, who are for the most part very, very fortunate, right? They're more educated and they come from more fortunate resources. It is such a culture shock, and it sometimes still surprises me that they're like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to know. It's important to know. And sometimes it just means, volunteering your time, getting out of your little comfort zone, taking your kids too. Let them know at an early age how to be involved and how to get engaged and how to appreciate. Then you start to appreciate what you have and how far you've come. But it's also to learn that people are people. And they need help. Some people need help. Some people are just are struggling, or they're afraid, or especially now they're afraid, or they just their language barriers, their cultural barriers. These are all challenges that they face. And unless you're there and you see them and you see the appreciation, you see the enlightenment of when you just dedicate an hour or two, it's astounding. It's astounding how great a change you can make.
Yeah, I will say you see people, but I think you also see people not as a monolithic, but as a person.
As
Right?
a person.
And I'll give an example. My mom used to live in a assisted living center, when I first got there, I used to just say I literally just saw a sea of old people, right? And didn't even. And then the more time you spent there, you realize that each of them had these wonderful and complicated and simple stories about life. And when you actually take the time to see people individually, you realize the depth of the similarities that we have, and sometimes the beauty of the differences that we have. And that's actually what kind of makes the richness of who we are, is being able to see and recognize both, right?
Exactly. And not until sometimes you hear about what's going on in the world, but not until you actually experience it firsthand, the good and the bad and the ugly, do you get to really appreciate the importance of whatever that may be. And so, I always find it amazing, even after, right now, my team is like, when we went last year to Thanksgiving community dinner, immediately thereafter, they're like, we have to do a toy run. We have to do, when do we sign up for the next one? It was this opening of their hearts, and they're wanting to be involved, which was so lovely to see. And that's what's important. So you can start small, and then through that, progress. But encourage organizations, because at the end of the day, it's the dollar. It's the dollar that helps bring all these programs to fruition.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I don't see any questions right now, and I have one more question I'm going to ask you, which is going to be back about the workplace. But before I do that, I'm going to just bring Anita. Oh, okay, there you go. So I'm going to bring Anita on. As soon as I said that, one more question just popped in. So I'm going to bring Anita on, and she can. And it's I love this. I love the question. Anita can read the question to you.
Okay.
Anita, please join us.
Thank you so much. And thank you again, Millie, for sharing your story with us. And I will say, I definitely will take away the be involved, don't just be there. I think that's going to be my new mantra. So thank you for that.
We'll make a pink t-shirt off of it.
Yes, because it is Pink Wednesday. But
I have hearts on my shirt, so it's not pink, but I am channeling love.
Okay. All good.
So we do have one question. So the question is, where did you get that awesome taste in music? The track you picked had me dancing over here. Applause for the great conversation and your refined style, beautifully bringing our cultural heritage to life.
That's fun. I can't take credit for the music. It was not my choice, but I
I think Anita and Tiffany's choice, right? So, but your favorite though. You said you love the
Yes,
song.
I love that song. So we're so blessed to be able to have such a rich culture. Whether it's our food, our music, all of us, our style, because we're a blend of people. We are a blend of people, all of us. And when I listen to the Latin music, I cannot sit still. I just can't.
Not supposed to.
It took every ounce of strength not for me to be dancing while you were playing that song. But it's a great song because, like I said, it's such a celebration of all Latino cultures.
Awesome. I love the question. Thank you. But I won't call out the person who wrote it, but thank you. We see you. All right, Anita, you have anything else? If not, I will move to my closing question. Okay, so back to the digital tools, and maybe I can pull two questions out of this, but because I probably should have asked you before, but again, I love talking to HR to HR. It's nice to have this conversation.
Oh, we need to continue this conversation even afterwards because I appreciate another HR professional as well.
I think we can. I know we can do that. I know we can do that. But I do think. I think I know the role of HR is an interesting one, and we said it in your bio. And there's a bit around balancing your employees' needs, but also recognizing the objectives of the business. And you always want them to align where they can. They don't always, which makes it really difficult. But one of the things that we want to make sure that we do is we strive for kind of connections in the organization. That's really, really key. So back to the digital tools that we talked about, but maybe more broadly. But just what's your perspective on how HR leaders can balance the adoption of these digital tools with preserving the need for human connection and empathy? How far away or how connected are they? I'll say digital tools, but I'll just say kind of forward momentum. The idea of having forward momentum with connecting back to the past, the history, the people. How do you balance that? In your bio, you mentioned that you were also part of setting the organizational culture and strategy. How do you put that all together in a way that's tangible for your employees at your company?
Digital tools are vital, especially in the HR world, because they alleviated us of many administrative tasks that took up a great deal of our time. And that then presented more time for us to be strategic, to be to lend ourselves as human connectors, which is extremely important. I think so many times companies forget that there's a human aspect to the most important asset in a company, and that's the people. Without that human connection, there's no platform or program or AI that at this time anyway that can replace that part of it, that human connection, that empathy, that one-on-one knowing your staff, knowing your team members, understanding what's driving them, whether it's if you have to know your people on a personal basis. If you know that Roger is normally a go-getter and right now he is stumbling, don't just look at a report and say, hey, he's defaulting. If the human side of that asks the question, why? Roger, what's happening? Normally you're performing in this, is there something happening at home? You have to understand, you have to have that human connection and that conversation to really be able to address an issue. And I don't think right now that even through AI, not going to be able to do that so well. Or should we rely on that? because it is important to have that connection. So although platforms, technology, and I'm all for technology, I love an automated process, but what's important is to have that human connection, that relationship with your team members, that driving that culture, whatever that culture is, whether it's a collegiate culture, which is culture driven by knowledge, whether it's culture driven by inclusivity, whether whatever that culture may be. As human resource professionals, we need to look at that and see, okay, now I can focus my attention on.
Yeah. Well, in closing, I'll give a shout out to both your function and mine, because I do think that we are the organizational backbone. We try our best to be the organizational backbone and the voice to our employees with what's going on, and be able to take the voice from our employees to bring back to our leadership team. And it's not always easy to navigate, but it's key. So I have had a wonderful time getting to talk to a peer. And I applaud the work that you're doing in the community, because first and foremost, what we do in the community really is who we are, right? So we all have our corporate titles, but it's how you make a difference that matters. So
Yes.
I appreciate that you took the time to spend with us, talk about the work that you're doing in your corporate life, but also what you do in your personal life. And I thank you again for the connections that you have made for us to your firm and other firms that you and other firms and nonprofits that you deal with. So I think I'm going to ask, given that the person who said that they were over there dancing, maybe they have the right to dance out. I know Lawrence is listening, so maybe as we go to close before everyone hangs up, Lawrence, I'm talking slowly so you can cue it up, Lawrence. Maybe you could cue up the song for us as we say goodbye. Look at that, he's so good. Thank you, Millie. I appreciate it. And
Thank you. And thank you to the team at Mutual and for Steve Ortiz and everyone on this call. It's a great organization, and I support you and your organization with reason. So I thank you for this opportunity as well.
Thank you.